Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing YouTube channel, and this is episode, I think, number 27 in my Talk Marketing series. If you've spent any time here at all, you will know that I am on a mission to give you everything you need to be successful in your business. The only way I know for you to be successful in your business is to be more effective with your sales and marketing. So not only am I here giving you everything I know, I'm also dragging in anyone I can find and dragging out of them everything they know, designed to support you to be more successful in your business. Now, today's guest has marketing experience going back to 2005. He's been involved in creative agencies. He has a wealth of coaching experience. Currently, he's running with two things that run nicely together. The first of those is a done-for-you marketing agency called Hodges Net. And the second is for those wanting to sell their knowledge online through an initiative called Knowledgeprenuers. Today's guest is a Kajabi geek, an agency owner, and a trainee hot air balloon pilot. Put my teeth in and I'll say that again. He is a trainee hot air balloon pilot. It's true. It's Ant Hodges. Good afternoon, Ant.
Great to see you. Great to be here.
It's great to have you here. Thank you so much. Yes, so this is interesting. So we should probably get the most interesting thing out of the way first. Why do you decide that you want to be able to fly hot air balloons?
As a kid, I got involved with things like Air Scouts and all that kind of stuff, and loved being in the air. Did a bit of gliding with the Air Scouts and stuff like that. Then I grew up. I got a job, a family, and you kind of lose some of those childhood hobbies and stuff that you used to do. But one of my best friends, Alex, was training with his brother-in-law. He started helping him to just crew balloons. Then he got his pilot license, and then he needed to find a crew for himself. So he asked me whether I'd be up for helping, and I just got the bug. Absolutely love it. We've been flying out in Metz in France. It's Europe's largest hot air balloon meet. So I've flown across France a little bit with the balloons, flown across the Cotswolds. So you get a lot of hands-on experience as a trainee, because the pilot will take you up and then just say, well, crack on. So it's good fun and really, really love doing it. Obviously, being here in the UK, we're governed by the weather. So it's only decent weather in the summer, really, that we can fly. But we can fly in the winter in cold mornings and cold evenings. But yeah, it's just so much fun. So much fun.
I can imagine. It's on my list of things to do. And I'm just thinking now, I can't believe I haven't done it, because I've really wanted to do it for the longest time. You will have seen those photos in Myanmar where they have all those huge numbers of balloons in the sky at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Really romantic.
So that's like Metz. They have over 400 balloons that take off at the same time.
Oh my God.
Lined down the runway of the airfield. And then literally you just start seeing, if you go first, you start seeing them all popping off, but you're in the air with 400 other balloons. Wow. That's an amazing thing to do. But also just flying solo, just the quietness. When you get to 9,000 feet, you start to see the difference. If you're flying in the evening between daylight and nighttime, the blues, when you pop above clouds and you just see clouds across, it's just beautiful. It's just so awesome.
God, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this year.
You should.
Yeah, right. So that's good. So you've motivated me to do that at least already. Okay, good. So we're really here to talk about sales and marketing. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Because of the legend that is Warren Cass that you are here.
The man that is connected to the world.
He really is connected to the world, isn't he? He's taken this thing to a different place entirely. It's like,
absolutely.
It's been going for about 14, 15 months, and I kind of got 10 or 12 together in the first 2-3 months, and it was very sporadic. And then I got another 10 together like towards the middle of last year. Had huge, horrible tech issues using software other than what we're using now. And that was enough to take the wheels off. And then went back to Warren. He's just lined me up with every man and his dog. It's insane how well connected. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna recommend 8 people, so you can get 3 people quite quickly." He recommended me to 10, and everyone has agreed to do it. So they're all scheduled going into the future. So this has grown wings of its own. It really has. So the drill, the drill. There's only 5 questions. First question is, how are you qualified to talk to us about sales and marketing and selling online courses in this instance? The second question is, who are your clients? What is it you do for them? How do you add value to their lives? The third question is, what is your recommendation for anyone who's looking to do better with their marketing or maybe looking to take their knowledge online? And the fourth question is, what should people be reading? And the fifth question is, who can you recommend who might enjoy to have a conversation like this with me? So, question number 1. How on earth are you, Ant, qualified to talk to us about sales and marketing and providing courses online?
I'm 40. It doesn't look it, I'm sure. But from the age of about 14, I started mucking around with Photoshop and designing stuff. And I think for me, those very early days of those original, Photoshop packages and Photoshop elements that you could get on PCs and stuff with a freebie, or before you go and send your photos off for processing and stuff like that back in those days. I really enjoyed all of the graphic arts type stuff. So got into graphic design. Got a job working for a charity designing PowerPoint presentations. And for one of their directors who goes off talking, and then that spiraled. I learned web design. I learned book cover design. I did evening classes in graphic design and all of this kind of stuff. And in 2007, set up my own agency. Wife was pregnant with our second child. My best friend, his wife, was pregnant with her second child. So we launched the agency. The press release was 2 men have 3 babies in 1 year. And it went off like a rocket. And we grew to a multi 6-figure agency within 18 months. Team, staff, everything. And we were working on branding and advertising strategies for not-for-profits, for other charities, because that was where our experience had come from, but also local government organizations. So we were working for the local council and other people like that around the country. And then the bubble burst in 2009. The recession hit, and we pretty much lost 12 of our retained clients overnight. So the business went into administration. We liquidated the company. And I hid away in a job for a couple of years as a business development director for an e-commerce agency. And working with some really big name brands like Reader's Digest, Cycling Clothes, Rafa. That's, the clients of the agency. I learned the balance then between the brand building and the selling stuff online. And actually dipping into things like information marketing at the time and trying to do the whole internet marketing, selling ebooks back, 2007, 2008. I also started reading people like Frank Kern and started following people like him back in those very early days and seeing what they were doing, which deepened my fascination with specifically wanting to help people online rather than all the offline. And I think in that e-commerce agency job, I got a bit disillusioned with working with slightly larger companies, and really wanted to work with owners of their businesses and entrepreneurs. Also, I was trying to debunk what went wrong with my first business. And I thought, do you know what? I'd love to find out how I could not make the same mistakes again, and ended up training as a coach instead of employing a coach. So I trained as a business coach in the evenings and spare time, did all of that. And the marketing piece, the marketing and sales piece, dovetailed really well with the business coaching side of things, because most small owner operator businesses struggle with their marketing and their sales. And then obviously, as they start to grow and scale, they'll look at systems and team and processes and all of the other parts of the business that then obviously need attention as well. And in 2011, decided to jump ship and set up my own business again. I was still hugely in debt, 6 figures in debt over the liquidation of the first business. We chose not to wipe it out and go bankrupt, my wife and I, because I knew I could earn my way out of it and pay my way out of it. And so that's what we decided to do. It took 8 years in full to pay that lot off, as well as still earn money to live and to be in business. And I tell you what, it taught me so much about the mistakes that we can make in our businesses, the mistakes we can make in marketing. And I continued my personal development and my business training and my coaching training through that period as well. And I think for me, when I, in 2016, achieved Master Coach accreditation, that's when I decided I don't want to be a coach necessarily, but I understand the coaching world. I understand the world of the information marketers. And I can see that the trend has moved away from selling information online to selling knowledge so that people can experience things properly and get real results. And I think there's too many out there who will teach the DIY type stuff. So they'll provide training so you can do it yourself. And then there's people who will sell maybe high priced consultancy and say, oh, we'll do it with you. But actually what that means is they'll tell you what to do and you still got to go and do it yourself. And then there's the done for you stuff, because the people I was working with, I was, as you said earlier, I'm a total geek when it comes to implementing this kind of stuff. And rather than teaching or training or coaching, I'd much rather be getting my hands dirty, getting my head under the hood of the car and firing that business engine up to make it work. So I built an agency. So I have an employed team. And even through the COVID and the transition with that, we've been growing, we've been adding to the team. And they're sat in the offices here with me normally. We specifically are geared to focus on the results aspect of it all, because all the way through that process that I went through, that journey I went through to learn what went wrong in business, I've learned then what to do right to avoid those mistakes. And now I've got a multi-6-figure training business. We hit 7 figures in the agency, and we're growing. And I think for me, because I've proved I can do it both in my training and in my agency, we're then helping other clients, and the kind of stuff that we're doing with clients is phenomenal, and we're getting them the results, and they stick around. We've got clients who've been around literally since 2012, 2013, long-term clients who we want to develop long-term relationships and work with them ongoing to grow their businesses. So I think the qualification more so comes from experience and getting results than it does any certificates that I can show you that might be hanging on the wall or tucked away in some cupboard somewhere. And that's really kind of where I'm coming from in terms of how I believe I'm qualified to be able to sit in this space and help others.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It sounds like quite a journey. I mean, it sounds like the journey that kind of anyone who was there in 2008, 2009, that was horrifying, man. It was like overnight.
Horrific.
And every day on all the breakfast news channels, there were these huge graphics with these huge red downward arrows. And it was just constant every day, every day, every day. Okay,
And
so
all you heard on the news was the big companies.
Yes.
You didn't hear the story of the entrepreneur who had to close his business, or the small business who had to shut up shop at that time.
Yes.
But there were thousands of small businesses that went out of business, and ours included. And even though we were doing extremely well, our clients literally had finances cut, which then stopped them from having a marketing budget, which then said, you need to bin out the agency. And so it was really tough. And a lot of colleagues in the industry suffered through that as well. And most that I know have bounced back and are stronger than ever now. And in particular, through the pandemic, those that were switched on, that were either in this online space or that could pivot quickly have done extremely well to, one, be here still, but to grow and to deliver the results that they needed for their customers and their clients, which, is an amazing thing to see others in the industry, others that I know around the world, who've been able to just serve through this time and are reaping the rewards themselves from being able to just serve and give. So,
Yes. And that's interesting to me because in terms of my public speaking, I hit my nadir at that point, because I was stubborn and leery, and I did this talk. It's on my website, but the video is appalling. You can imagine it was 2008. We had no idea what we were doing. But basically, I was like, the message was, this is, now is the time, essentially. Like, more millionaires are created during recessions than any other time. Need is real now. No one's messing around anymore. People have genuine needs. You need to realize them. And they came out with that "keep calm and carry on" sign. Do you remember, from the war? So I messed with that and said, okay, the advice from the effective marketing company is to get excited and kick ass. And it was a real rebel rousing. It was a really good thing. This time I wasn't anything like as connected or concerned or involved. But I still do think that's true. It's like, in times of hardship, in more difficult times, that's where you sort the wheat from the chaff. Do you know what I mean? And some businesses just weren't COVID proof. They weren't going to work
absolutely
during the pandemic in the way that your business wasn't recession proof the first time around. So there is just a line that exists. Either you're going to be able to make this fly or not. But then what I was saying to people this time was, this is either the best opportunity you're going to have or the biggest excuse you're going to have. So if you want to fail, here's the excuse. If you want to really succeed, here's the opportunity. So,
and in marketing history, even if you look back, during World War II, there were only a few brands that were advertising. Clearly, because there was no point in advertising during a war. Everyone's on rations and there were no supermarkets open to go and buy stuff. But Stork Margarine were one of the brands that still kept marketing during the war. And what is one of the most highest selling baking margarines on the planet today is Stork Margarine, still today. And they supported campaigns. They still marketed during the war. And so it just it goes to show that even sometimes in those times where maybe people aren't going to be buying necessarily, brand building, staying visible is so important. And even online today, no matter what brand or what business people have got, the most important thing is visibility. And it's not about just pumping stuff out for pumping stuff out's sake, but it's staying visible, showing up, serving an audience with valuable content that will engage them, that will help them with the frustrations they've got right now, with the fears of stuff that they want to avoid, but fundamentally point them towards where they want to get to, what they've got in terms of aspirations. It's that visibility piece and just continuing to serve. And being consistent in that will pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I really believe that. And there's something about, I came to this little exercise with an attitude. I went through that, and I don't think we ever did recover. It was like 2014 when I stopped driving the effective marketing company properly. And what is the point about that? The point about that is, there's something, it is about serving. Sales and marketing is about serving. Like, really good marketing is about understanding your market, understanding their needs and their desires, and developing solutions to those needs and desires. And, maybe I was a little bit cynical when I came into this, but I've spoken to so many brilliant people that has just become re-embedded, I think, that idea that we are just here to serve. And if you are serving in the most difficult times, then you will be rewarded for that when times get easier. I think That
In
has to be.
2011, when I decided to go back to being self-employed after hiding away in a job for a few years, I picked up a book called The Millionaire Messenger by a guy called Brendan Burchard. A lot of people know who Brendan is, but I think for me, the key message of that book was how you can make a difference in the world and a fortune. But it came first by making the difference. Go out into the world to serve people where they're at with the problems, with the challenges they've got, helping them to overcome those things, and you will get rewarded. It's what Cialdini talks about in Influence. It's the law of reciprocity. You give, you're going to get back. And in 2011, when I read that book, I was like, this is what I need to do. I need to take all the lessons that I've learned over the past few years of what went wrong in my business, turn that around and say, I believe doing these things will help you to grow your business, will help you with your marketing, getting involved with the e-commerce world and learning what we could do with that and monetize our knowledge as a product like you would a widget or something like that you can sell online. It was all sparked with Brendan's book. And The Millionaire Messenger by Brendan Burchard is one of my highly recommended books for those who want to start to think about how to take their knowledge, become an expert in a marketplace, and start to package it and sell it.
100%. And there was something, how did you put it? You said that when you became a business coach, or the business coaching and the sales and marketing fit really well together. It seems to me that small business owners don't quite get that being in business is an exercise in having customers profitably. You know, they do it because they make amazing donuts, or they do whatever they do that they really enjoy to do. And only later on does it occur to them, if it ever occurs to them, that actually they're going to need customers, you know. And that obviously only happens through marketing and then sales. So that's
I think the
interesting.
first job of any, even if you're just starting out or you're struggling in business, if you're not turning over, 100,000 or $250,000 or something like that, your only job is marketing and getting and keeping customers.
Yeah.
So it's getting customers, serving them, and keeping them, and
Yes.
continuing to serve them, continuing to get your customer the result that they're looking for, or the experience, or the end result, whatever it might be. That's the only job as a business owner until you can start to scale team and processes. And I think a lot of people I think over the pandemic, it's been a little bit different because of the work from home culture. But pre-pandemic, the whole notion of, oh, let's get an office, let's get a company car, let's dress the business so that from the outside it looks successful. But it's all just vanity. Look at the metrics that actually mean something. How many customers are you bringing on board? Are you getting those customers the results? That's how you'll grow your business. And that's got to be the focus, getting and keeping customers.
Yeah, and this seems to me like I seem to be having the same conversation over and over and again, over and over again, and I don't care because I think people really need to hear it. And I was the same. You know, I had this huge vision of what my office. I think marketing businesses are probably the worst for this. You know, I had a huge vision of what my office should look like and how people should feel about working for me, and me and me and me. And the thing is, when you start a business, that's you standing up and saying to the world, "Here I go." You know,
Yeah.
and you expect everyone gives a shit about that, but they don't. You know, it's like, so the pressure you put on yourself as a business owner is, this has to look amazing, this has to be amazing, because everyone's going to think I'm an idiot. So the only thing I've heard Gary Vaynerchuk say that I really respected was him saying that nobody cares. You know, nobody cares. And if I'd known that nobody cared, my life would have been so much easier. My business would have been so much better. You know, I would have had the space then to get on with it and be better, maybe.
What customers care about is getting the result they
Yeah.
want. So if as a business you've got too many other distractions to actually deliver the result that the customer's looking for, you're not necessarily in the right space to be able to serve them in the first place. So
Yeah. And my issue was I was too good at sales and marketing. So I was just swamped immediately. And then I had people phoning me up saying, "Oh, people are starting to say that you're too busy." Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it is stupidly difficult to run a business. I think it's
Yeah.
stupidly difficult for all of the pressures and the external pressures and there's 46 laws exclusive to business owners that you can go to prison for. All
Hmm.
that sort of stuff makes it ridiculously difficult. So I'm 100%
We
with
spend
you.
more time learning how to drive our car than our business.
Yes.
And the reality is, we should have to sit an exam and a test, I think, before you take the reins of a business.
Yes.
And there's got to be, I think in some countries around the world, and particularly in some states in America, you've got to have a license to do business. I think here in the UK in particular, anyone can just start up a business like that and start selling, which is great because it's access to that entrepreneurial world is amazing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to restrict that. But if you want to take the business seriously, you've got to invest in some level of training to be able to understand all of the parts of a business that needs to get moving, rather than just focus on, okay, well, I've got a widget. How many can I sell today? I think if you want to grow and scale a business, there's so much more to it than just doing that. But when you're starting out, getting and keeping customers is key.
100 and continuously throughout. That is the whole gig.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens if there's not money coming in. You don't have a business. So I think what you're saying is right. I did some personal development. I always wanted to run my own business, and I did some personal development. And one of the things they spoke to us about was the universe will provide. So look around and see what the universe is providing. And I had a couple of credit cards that I hadn't spent a penny on for years. And I'm like, okay, well, there you go. I've got £15,000 to start my business or whatever it was. And one of the first things I did was I went to Curry's because I needed a laptop because I had a company laptop, blah, blah. And they were saying, okay, well, you're a business, then you qualify for credit. So not only, so all you have to do essentially is stand up and say, yeah, I'm a business. Not even have a business bank account. Just walk into any of these places, say, yeah, I'm a business, and they will start throwing credit at you already.
Yeah.
And I think that also is a real danger. I had no idea that running a business was an investment of time and energy and money. And I never had that money.
Blood,
and so I
sweat,
was
and tears.
blood, sweat, and tears. I had all the energy in the world. I did 14 hours a day for 9 years. I was up presenting to people at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting with clients still at 8 o'clock in the evening. I was going like a Boeing for 9 years, had all the energy and all the time in the world. But because I never had that and any money, any serious money behind me, it was always going to be under pressure. It was always going to be under pressure. It astounds me that I made it for 9 years. It's just nothing happened. I didn't go bankrupt and none of that stuff. But the amount of energy that I put in was insane because
and so many suffer with that. I was like that as well, running a business and agency like that. But learning how to leverage my knowledge and start to leverage technology meant that I could get some of that time back, but I could
yes,
still be serving more people. And so there's a way I can scale my business here, but at the same time, I don't have to be working in it full time. I don't think anybody's ever got to the mythical 4-hour work week that Tim Ferriss spoke about. And I don't think he's ever got there himself since he wrote that book. He's probably been busy like everybody else. But being able to get to a 4-hour work week or a 1 day a week work or something like that is possible.
Yes.
If we are focused on looking at how we can leverage our time, leverage technology, leverage our knowledge, and that's what I'm focused on. That's what my agency, that's what my training is focused around, is helping people to do that, because it releases you and it takes those pressures off, and you don't have to be doing the 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and showing up at 7 o'clock in the morning to speak. Because why don't you record a video and schedule it to be broadcast online at that time? And there's so many different ways that we can do it to continue to show up, to continue to serve, but we get back our life.
Yes. What a brilliant segue that was. You are a genius, Ant.
Well, you led me there.
Because now, this is 100% right. I went to a business mentoring, networking kind of a thing. And they were lovely people. They were really lovely people. But what we were invited to do on the first session was stand up and say what our challenge was or what our interest was. This was around 2009, 2010. And I stood up and I said, look, I need to work out how to leverage myself better. I can't, I'm at the limit of what I can do in terms of being everywhere all of the time. And do you know what they said to me? They said to me, what does leverage mean? Why are you using fancy words like leverage? So that's, that's indicative maybe of how poorly leveraged businesses are. That they don't even
Absolutely.
know
If you
what the
don't
word leverage
understand the
means.
actual word leverage is in the first place, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I
So
think
that leads us beautifully in then to, who are your customers? How do you add value to their lives?
so. We work with people who have knowledge in any kind of niche. They've overcome challenges and they want to step out into the world and serve those people. So, as an example, we work with a financial advisor in California. He's been doing it for decades. Now he's written a book or a couple of books. He's produced an online course on how you can change your mindset around money and finances. And so now what we're working with him is building his profile, running his advertising to generate more book sales. Off the back of that, get people into webinars that then sell his online course, and then move into a community membership where he can serve them on an ongoing basis. What that does is it takes his knowledge, it leverages it online into group programs so that he can literally show up once a week to serve a group of 100 people if they show up, 1,000 people if they show up, or more, because he's delivering once to many. And it's that transition from the bricks and mortar business where we've got to get people crossing the threshold and we sell one to one and we deliver one to one, to going into a way in which we can use technology to market, grow, and scale in a way that was previously only reserved for the big blue chip companies that had the budgets to be able to afford this kind of stuff. We've now got access with mobile phones and technology today to be able to broadcast ourselves, get out there and show up and be visible. But what we've got to then learn is how to generate leads, how to position no-brainer offers for people, and how to create products that actually deliver for them. And that's what we help clients with. So we have property finance guys. We work with life coach in New York. We are working with a Texas-based lawyer with her training. We've got an interior design training company that we're working with. And it's all based around helping them to shape and package their knowledge and get it out to the world in order that they can help their customers overcome the same challenges they did. And that is because my story is exactly where I came from. That was what I was passionate about back in 2011 when I went back to being self-employed. And now I'm sat there looking at it in 2022 going, wow, 11 years on, I'm still following what I said I wanted to set out and my passion. And I've been able to do that because I've actually done what we're doing for clients: leverage technology to grow an audience, deliver online, and do it in that way. So that's what we're focused on, and that's the kind of people we work with.
Okay, so you've been busy with this. This isn't a new thing, is it? It's really not a new thing. So you've been busy with this for 11 years. Um, was there a golden? What do I want to know? I want to know is surely every course that everyone could ever possibly have required is now available online.
Yeah, people connect with people though. I think marketing is human to human. It's not business to consumer or business to business at the end of the day. We may operate in those niches and we may think in those niches a little bit. And when we say niche, when I say niche, I mean maybe huge niche. But people want to connect with people at the end of the day. And I think even during what we've been experiencing through the COVID and pandemics and all of this kind of stuff, the segregation and the lockdown nature and the way in which people have become disconnected from people, there is still, and probably even more so now, the need for people to connect with people. So that's why it's so important to focus on building your audience, getting visibility online, serving them so that they can see that you are the go-to person to help them overcome that challenge, that problem. And then you invite them to take the next step. You invite them to take the next step on the journey to deepen their knowledge or to get better results in the thing that you're focused on. And yes, there are literally probably millions of courses out there, but I think if you're in the business of selling courses for courses' sake, you'll never succeed. But if you're in the business of helping to serve people to transform their lives, to transform their businesses, to transform their relationships, to transform their parenting, to transform their baking, people want transformation. So if you're in the business of transformation and you can take someone on a journey, then it will work. And having a suite of products is key to this as well. And what I mean by that is if you've only got one product, one service, one course, one product, one program, and you sell it and you've got nothing else, then you've got to be constantly on the hunt for more customers to queue up to buy your one thing. Whereas if you have maybe some entry level products, some mastery type level products, and then maybe some other products or services that dovetail along a similar kind of vein that help people to dig deeper or get results in similar or you know complementary areas, then that means that you will never run out of products, never run out of services. And actually, when you think about the knowledge commerce space, it's infinite in terms of any niche or any area of life or business or whatever. I don't think there's ever a point at which you will know everything that there is to know about it. So if you're out there and you're serving people with those products and with those services, you're building an audience, you're building a tribe of your own, you're nurturing and adding value. You've got to be on that journey of continuing to learn yourself and continuing to develop and deepen your skills and master your skills so that you can synthesize that knowledge or that you can share the results that you're getting from implementing that yourself to your audience, maybe in the form of another product, another program, another event, another book, another course, whatever it might be. So you've got to continually be on that journey. But as long as, going back to the earlier questions, getting and keeping customers is key. If you can keep people in your tribe, in your following as customers, and you continually are serving them, you're understanding what their frustrations are, and you can continue to innovate, then you'll continue to grow. And that in turn will grow your following. And I mentioned Brendan earlier, back in the day, back in 2011 when I picked up his book, he didn't have a very big following. I now look at him now and he has millions following him. He sells his courses and tens of thousands buy them. And I think it's about longevity, it's about consistency, it's about continuing to deliver and innovate. And that's the key. So if you're looking to step into it, I certainly wouldn't worry too much about other people being out there as well.
Okay, good. So is this always about online learning, or is there a marketing aspect to this where, so you say that you have property guys in California, they're looking to sell properties, are they, or they're looking to have investors, or how does that break down?
Not just online. So, if so, the property guy that we have works in the UK. He specialises in property finance, so he runs live in-person events. He also has a brokerage firm as well, and that's the beauty of his product suite. So he can cater for people online. He can gift them a ticket to a live event by buying an online program. If they come to the live event and buy his training, then he can gift them the online. So it works both ways. He's catering for those who want to be in the room. He's catering for those who want to be online. But then referrals can come into his brokerage firm as well, because he knows he's an expert in what he does. And that's exactly our business model as well. My coaching and my training helps people to package their knowledge, to get it online, to start selling it online. But if they then need the implementation and the direct help to be able to make it all happen, that's what my agency's for. And so the fallout from a lot of people who go through my training is to then have my team serve them to be able to maybe build out their online course, build out their funnel, run their social ads, videos, whatever it might be, to be able to help implement that. Because I think we should all stick to what we're good at. We should all focus and keep in mind that if we're an expert in a field, we should stay there. And those things that we're not expert at, we find other people to help us to serve who are experts, whether that's outsourced, whether that's employed team, whether it's contractors, whatever it might be. Because if we stay in our wheelhouse and we stay, in that zone of genius of what we do, the rewards will come later, which is why, I haven't deviated too much from what I set out to do in 2011, because I believed wholeheartedly that that was where I was supposed to be, helping people take their knowledge and monetize it so that they serve thousands around the world. That was it. And yeah, that's where we're still at today.
Okay, good. Because I am overdue to have this conversation. Like I've told you already, I have this course. It's a course that I ran face to face for like 10 years. So I know it works. I know people like it. I produced it. It's all video. It was torture. It took about a year. LinkedIn, for the one time in their history, it's a LinkedIn course. For the first time in their history, reskinned the whole thing. So I had to shoot the whole thing again. It was torture again. And then what happened is I built a website. The website's never worked. So I don't know how many hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds I've spent on that, but it's never worked. So it's never been marketed. So it just is there, and it's never benefited anyone. Somebody bought it. No, I think 3 people bought it, and I've got no idea how or why they managed to do it. The website doesn't work, but they did, so that's lovely. But there are people online selling the dream. Leverage your time, never work again, blah, blah. It's easy. Do. That's the part of marketing, sales and marketing I hate the most. Those people who are on these pre-roll ads saying everything's going to be easy. I've tried to do
the Lambo
this.
sitting, the hood of the Lambo sitting people.
Yes. The rented Lambo, the books in the background, the library, all of that stuff. So I hate that. I know this isn't easy. It's not that I have produced dozens, if not hundreds of websites for clients. I have marketed customers. I've 3x'd people's businesses in the space of a couple of years, like repeatedly. I've taught hundreds of people. When it comes to me doing this, I know it's really not easy. I really know it's not easy. So
I'm with you, and the reason I say that is because now I have an employed team. One of them, sort of helps me, and we look at strategy for the business together and things. And it's really good having that additional sounding board for me.
Yes.
Now, because I'm being called on my stuff now, because I think for me, there was a long time. It took a very long time for me to actually believe that I knew my stuff and that I could make a difference. Even though I knew what was needed to be done, and I knew how to help customers, and we were getting them some amazing results in launching and putting courses together and building an audience, all this kind of stuff. I found it so hard to do it for myself. And the one thing above all that I struggled with was the self-belief that I could actually do it, the self-belief that people would actually listen to me. And I think that imposter syndrome thing was driven from the failure of my first business. I would often say to people, I have this fear of success, because if we grow and we grow and we grow, it could all come crashing down again. But it wasn't a fear of success that stopped me from actually believing. It was actually a fear of failure. So if I knew I could if I could work out potentially where those points of failure would be, I could mitigate the risk. There was nothing stopping me from actually going out there and starting to serve people in the way that I knew I could and the way that I knew I should. So I think imposter syndrome is real, but I think it's also potentially, we could just see it as an illusion that we can debunk, and we can just start getting out there and start serving people.
Yes. And I mean, apart from the imposter syndrome, I think that's real. I just know the mechanics of this are difficult. The mechanics are difficult. So, because I have tried, I wouldn't say, I haven't lost sleep over it, but I have tried to get this working and I can't. So the mechanics of it are difficult. There was something else that you were saying. I've inspired people. I've had really nice feedback. I'm still in touch with a lot of people that I've taught, and I've just taught, not even been involved in their businesses. So I know that this is useful and valuable. For me, I think it's the mechanics that are the real issue. But
what you're doing here now with this is exactly what you need to be doing, Martin, because you're showing up, you're adding value. The people who are watching this, listening to this, they're going to hopefully get a lot of value from this, which is demonstrating your expertise as well. And your next step is to then invite them to take the next step. So it's working out, what is that next step?
yes,
What is it that you can do to help them on their next step of the journey? And there's a book I picked up from the bookshelf, Story Brand by Donald Miller. I don't know if you've read it, but it's certainly a book I would recommend, because this is basically helping you to really clarify what you can do to help your customers, and then for you to show up as the guide. They are the hero of the story at the end of the day, but you are the guide to help them to get to where they want to get to. So on that journey, there will be a number of steps that they need to go through. Those could be products, those could be services, and you take them from one step to the next, because we can't necessarily get a customer from where they are today to where they want to get to overnight. And there's no push button solution or magic silver bullet that will help people to do that. But if they've got a path and you display a roadmap to be able to get there, and that's your process, they're your products, their events, their coaching sessions, their training courses, their books, whatever they might be in terms of how you've packaged and shaped your knowledge, the customer can see that roadmap, and they can see, okay, well, I'm going to enter here and then I'm going to go through it methodically, because selling the invisible is the hardest thing in the world to do. Coaching, training, consultancy, they're invisible, they're services, there's no physical, tangible product. So putting shape to them in some way by creating a roadmap, creating a suite of products, and continuing to build a relationship and nurture people over time means that sales will just drop off. Marketing and sales shouldn't necessarily just be seen as a very tactical, very transactional thing. Oh, I'm going to run a promotion to get some sales. If we continue to build a relationship with someone over time, and we're demonstrating expertise and we're positioning offers as we go, sales will just drop off. But what we need to do is we need to show them that roadmap of understanding where they are, where they want to get to, and that you've got the map that will help them climb the mountain, and you can be the Sherpa that walks alongside them to be able to help them get there.
Okay, good. What do I want to say about that? So what I want to say about that is that there are, from where I'm sitting, there are steps in the process. There are components that you need. So in the first instance, you need, and I think you're right. So I just want to draw a line under this egotistical small business person that I still clearly am. It's taken me all this time to remember that I need an audience if I'm going to sell something to somebody. Do you know what I mean? I need, like, my situation is a little bit different. I stopped trading as the effective marketing company in 2014. I had audience at that point. I had mailing lists, I had Twitter followings, all of that good stuff. I've largely been teaching since then. So I've remembered that this is what I need to do. So this is part of my audience building. But it seems to me that there are steps or there are components. So the first thing you're going to need, well, you're saying the first thing you need is a sense that you want to be transformative for people. Okay, that's good. Then you're going to need the content or the course. Then you're going to need a way to present that.
So reverse engineer what we need to do.
Yes.
Product first.
Okay.
So the product that's going to give the customer the end result. We need to work out what that is. So we need to work out what our customer wants in terms of what result can we give them.
Yep.
The second thing would be to create a no-brainer offer for that product.
Okay.
How can we create an absolute no-brainer offer that when we position it under the noses of a potential customer, they're going to turn around and say yes?
Okay.
Then we need some kind of sales conversion event, whether it's a call, whether it's a sales page, whether it's a webinar, whether it's an appointment setter, whatever it might be, someone to actually transact the sale. But then we need to generate leads and nurture them towards the sale. But they're only going to come if we've built our audience first. So we've got to build audience, generate leads, have a sales conversion event, position a no-brainer offer, and deliver a product that delivers the results for customers. And if we can map those 5 things out in reverse order, you end up with the mechanics and work out what you need. So if I've got a product, I'm going to deliver a 12-week online course. Okay, it's going to promise X, Y, and Z. The no-brainer offer, I need to bundle some bonuses with that. They're going to want access to me as the expert, because that's one of the biggest pain points that people have with online courses. There's no live interaction. It's all delivered digitally. But leverage group calls, for instance. Do a group call every 2 weeks to answer questions live. Then they've got access to you. What other bonuses can you add? Conversion event. Are you going to do webinars to sell this thing? Do you want to get people to inquire, fill out a questionnaire, get on an appointment, set a question so someone can sell for you? Generate leads by giving away guides and checklists that relate to your course that help people to overcome the frustrations and pain that they've got now before then seeing the full roadmap. And then all of your content that you pump out there to build your audience, create content that demolishes the self-limiting beliefs that they're never going to be able to achieve it. Because if we can create marketing content that's out there that helps to knock down the dominoes, as Russell Brunson talks about, knock down the dominoes of the self-limiting belief that stops them from thinking, I can't achieve that, so I'm never even going to buy it, then they're going to be able to take the next step. So those 5 things, those 5 parts of the process is ultimately the process that we should be thinking if we want to package our knowledge. Package it, create the offer, have a sales conversion event of some kind, generate the leads, nurture them towards the sale, but that comes from building the audience first.
Okay, so chronologically, the first thing you need to do is build an audience.
The first thing you need to do is be clear about the product that you want to create. So you need to do it in reverse order. Because if you build an audience and you don't have anything to generate any leads, then you're just building an audience for audience sake. You can do them congruently, but if you're building an audience, you want to be able to invite them to take the next step. So do it in reverse order. Start with the end in mind, build the product, work out the offer, and then look at a sales conversion event, look at how to build leads, build your audience. And you can start by building your audience, absolutely, but be clear in understanding why you're building that audience. We don't just want a big audience to become famous, because nobody got famous from having just 1 million followers on YouTube or Twitter necessarily.
Oh, they
They
got
make
the
all the
million
money
followers on YouTube. Yes. Okay, good. I get you.
because they've
So,
done all the rest.
okay, so the question is then, how do you know that you are developing a product that there is an audience for?
That's the science of really understanding your audience. If you can see a problem in the world that a particular audience has, then figure out a way of fixing it and then go to that audience and say, I've found the solution. Seth Godin talks about it in one of his marketing books. You can either find a solution for a problem that people already have, or you can find an audience and then find out what problems they have and then start to serve them.
Yeah.
So actually, it starts internally. It starts, with yourself. What challenges have you overcome in your life or your business or your relationships or with money? And how have you done that? And then start to look around and start to see, are there other people doing this as well? And if there are other people doing that, then it kind of gives us an inkling that there could be an audience. And when you start having conversations with people, and you ask the question, okay, so what's bugging you right now? What's going to happen if you don't get that sorted? Where do you want to get to? You start understanding the pain that they have now, the pain that they are avoiding in the future, and the pleasure that they want in the future. And our job is to take them from that frustration, the pain that they have now, to the pleasure in the future, their aspiration. And our job is to create that path to go from one to the next. When we understand our customer and our audience, we can then create something that will really resonate with them.
Yeah, and I think it really does have to resonate with them now because there is so much choice. There are so many courses. Okay, so I want to come back to like a mechanical question again because this is where like there is a pattern emerging here. I am aware of this. It was the technology that sidetracked this exercise back in October. It's the technology that have hijacked my LinkedIn marketing course. So technologically, why don't we just throw this on? What's the famous course platform? The most
Like
famous
Udemy or something like
Udemy,
that.
yes. So
Yeah.
why don't we just produce courses and put them on Udemy? Why don't we do that?
In my opinion, Udemy is a great platform to start potentially building a little bit of an audience and start becoming a bit of an expert. But remember, every customer that comes on is a Udemy customer. They're not your customer. They remain a Udemy customer. You can communicate to them through Udemy. There's also a restriction on the price you can put on courses on Udemy. So for me, having a platform where you can position your own products, your own services, your own courses, you can choose to charge whatever you want, gives you the freedom to be able to produce and market and sell whatever you want to sell in that sense. But every single customer that comes on is your customer. It's like people who sell product on Amazon. They're an Amazon customer when they buy your product. They're not your customer. And the very notion of getting your own list, your own customers, has got to be important. I think Udemy works if you've got short courses, entry level beginner courses, or something like that, and you want to start to get to be known as an expert. Sell a short little course on Udemy for $47 or whatever it might be, but as one of those videos, invite them to take and get an understanding of what your next step, your next level is, and position your next thing, which is on your website, on your thing. And Udemy has an audience, and they will help your courses to get in front of people as well. And I know you can pay for premium membership with Udemy, and they'll help to promote it. That's a good thing. But I wouldn't build the entire business on an external platform like that.
Okay.
I'd look to create the business system yourself.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, the reason I've got it wrong, so I'm not telling anyone this is the way to go. I'm 100% not saying that because 3 people bought my course. So the thing is, maybe I'm thinking maybe 5 people bought. I don't know. So my rationalization, the reason I wanted to build my own website is for that reason. I am a huge believer. You're essentially buying customers when you're in business. You need to
Yeah.
own is a strong word, but you don't want to be buying customers for Udemy or Amazon. I had a real sense that also it would make it inefficient to market it. It's like putting your product on the shelf at Tesco's. And so at the end of every advert, you'd have to say, and pop into Tesco's. And when they get to Tesco's, they see that there's 15 other chocolate biscuits on the shelves,
Yeah.
So there was that. And also, I think they are kind of cheapening the product.
Yeah.
So if my course has generated businesses tens, hundreds of thousands, generated me tens and hundreds of thousands of pounds in sales. Why would I give it to somebody for $30? Or why would they believe it was worth more than $30 if they could get it for $30? Or why?
Because pricing a product in its own right as one of the strategies to be able to position the value of the product. So if the value of the product is positioned with a $30 price tag, what value do they perceive the product to be?
Yes.
Compared to maybe somebody else who's selling it through a product launch on their own website for $2,000 in a similar kind of vein.
Yes.
They're going to price juxtapose $30 to $2,000 and then potentially say, well, that $30 course is clearly not anywhere near the $2,000 price mark.
Yes. And pricing, I think, is really important. The thing is, if you give something to someone, they attach no value to it whatsoever. So the value people attach to things is intrinsically attached to the price that they paid. Okay.
Yeah, they have to have skin in the game.
Yes. Good. Now I've led you into a little cul-de-sac where we get to talk about how we price courses. How does it work? How does it work best? That's what I want to know.
I think that there's two ways to do it. You've got to balance price with value in terms of, and I think more and more people are moving towards what is the value that I am going to bring to a customer by offering this product or service. What could they potentially get out of this? What is the end result worth to the customer in that sense? That's one of the questions to be asking, is finding that balance. But the second thing is, where do you sit in the marketplace? Because, for instance, if you're a dating coach or something like that, and you are in a marketplace where most dating coaches are maybe, a couple of $100 a session to coach you or something like that, and you come in and you price yourself and you're like $50 a session, people in the marketplace are going to look at your pricing being a lot lower in the marketplace and potentially make a decision, well, they're too cheap, they're not going to give me the value that I want, even though you could be the best dating coach in the world. If you price over the top too much, if you're $5,000 a session or something like that, then they're going to ask the question, why are you that expensive? Why don't I just start here with a lower price person first and see if I'll get the value, because that risk is too much for me to take. So the value that you've got in a product or a program has got to be kind of put together in some way. And I'm not talking about some fake fictitious value that you see on all these webinars. Okay, well, here's my training and it's worth $20,000. Here's a load of bonuses and you can actually buy it for $500 today. Not that kind of a fake value, but the real value of the transformation that you want to bring to the customer. And it's a lesson. It's never fixed in stone either. So as an example, my training started, I think it was about $297 for my training to start with. The next launch we're going for is the same price we did last time, and it's $1,997. It's $2,000. because what we've actually done is we've added a whole heap of stuff into the course. The course has changed, it's morphed, there's a lot more information, there's a lot more knowledge, there's more access to me, and all of the resources, templates, guides, swipe files, everything, it's all been built into it. So the enormous amount of value in the course is there. I think a lot of people start when they think about pricing in terms of what they want to earn themselves, though. Okay, so I want to earn 10,000 a month. I don't know why, but this 10,000 a month figure is typically the target for a lot of people. So if I sell a course and I sell it for 2,000, I've only got to sell 5. So hold on, let's just maybe bump it up. Sell 1 a week, maybe 2.5, and I've got where I want to get to. That's all very well, but you're starting in the wrong place. I think you really do need to, and it comes back to creating the product in the first place, understand the problems that you're solving for the customer, the value that you're going to give them, and then start to price test those things. And this is the beauty of like product launches and running campaigns around maybe launching, and you've maybe got a live class that goes alongside your training, or a series of live Q&As as part of your training, because you can do a launch and test all of those things in a predefined calendar-based time frame. If you've always got your course on sale, when you then increase the price, and testing the price, it's very difficult. A course should always be bundled in a package. When we talk about creating no-brainer offers, bundle the package. So there's all kinds of things you can test every launch. You can test the price. You can test the bonuses that you're adding. You can test all the features of the product. Are you giving them PDFs and workbooks and swipe files? Are you posting something in the post to them? Are you giving them some kind of joining box with a load of stuff in there when they join? There's a whole heap of things that you can do. But this book is another recommendation, Jeff Walker's launch book, which will talk through a lot of these strategies and a lot of tactics around how you start to position those launches and be able to price. So market positioning is key, and the value that you give is key, and starting with something that you also feel comfortable with. Because I've worked with clients who have produced amazing stuff, and I'm like, looking at the market, looking at other people in the place, you need to be positioning this at maybe $1,000 or 1,500 or something like that. And I go, I don't feel comfortable selling at that level. Can we start at maybe 600? And, there's a mindset shift here as well that needs to happen when you start thinking about pricing. But it's got to be about the value that you're delivering for the customer and where you sit in the marketplace as well.
Yeah.
I know I didn't answer this question specifically, but they're the things that need to be considered.
They are. I mean, my next WTF is pricing strategy. And so it is always very interesting. I suppose because, like you say, this isn't a real thing. You can send them a box and they can open it, and that's great. That's starting to be more tangible. But because this is intangible, I suppose the pricing is more interesting. I mean, my attitude to pricing is, you can't deliver a Rolls-Royce service on a Robin Reliant price. So
Right.
You always really want to be the most expensive in your market. But then because I've never met a business owner who doesn't want to be the best at what they do. So you have to charge the most if you're going to do that, So I think that's interesting. The psychology around pricing is really interesting, where the whole world believes everyone wants to buy the cheapest, and in reality, everyone wants to buy the most expensive.
And if I drop the price, I'm going to get a load more sales.
That's so much junk.
Absolutely. That's
Junk.
the mindset a lot of the entrepreneurs that I see out there, because they live in that scarcity mindset.
Yes.
Because they themselves are struggling.
Yes.
So there's a perception that the people that they want to work with, they want to attract similar people. And it's a subconscious thing that happens because they're struggling. They think their customers are going to be in a similar position. So pricing becomes that negative thing that means that we end up trying to sell our course at a cheaper rate. I remember showing up live in my Facebook group in between two launches just to test something. I tested the live software, and I basically pitched the training. It wasn't ready for a launch or anything like that. I pitched my training, and I pitched it at the price we now sell it at. But I'd never sold it at that price before.
Yeah.
It was £1,000 more expensive, and I had 4 people buy on that impromptu live, because what had happened is they continued to get the content that I was sending. I was continuing to add value. I showed up live, and I just positioned what they perceived as a no-brainer offer, and they just bought. So I didn't need to launch. I literally just went live in my group and had 3 people buy it straight away.
Yes.
And that's why we need to do the work to understand the product and the customer really well, position the no-brainer offers, and be consistent in our approach of building our audience, generating leads, and having sales conversations. You make more offers, you make more sales.
Yes. I mean, that idea that if your price was just lower, then you would sell many more, is such a ridiculous thing. I mean, the reason that people aren't, if the price objection doesn't exist to me, it's literally the easiest thing I can say to get rid of you is that this is too expensive. And the excuse you want to give the salesperson is to tell them this is too expensive. The only reason I'm not buying this is because it's too expensive, so they can go back to the business and cry about how it's overpriced. It's just, this whole thing is a myth. What were you saying? You haven't established the value, so I'm agreeing with what you're saying. If you've established the value, then the price isn't really an issue. And up until you've established the issue, they're not buying. It's got nothing to do with the price. They're not buying. They don't understand the value of the thing. Man, I'm realizing that there's
easier.
Yeah.
You can always make it easier for them to buy by having payment options available as well.
Yeah.
So, if your course is priced at what, you want to sell your course at that price, have a 3-part payment, have a 6-part payment option as well.
Yeah.
Allow people, to step into it if they see the value, but maybe they haven't got the full cash to pay up front or whatever. There's options around then how you pivot that pricing structure to make it more accessible to more people as well without reducing the price.
Yes. And I think that's the main thing about price, is that it is a positioning exercise. The thing about the Robin Reliant Rolls-Royce thing is that you're better off selling to Rolls-Royce customers, because if it goes wrong, they're going to have something else they can drive around in for a week. If you're selling to a Robin Reliant person, if it goes wrong, if it's the wheels have come off.
They're probably living in it.
They're living, potentially, yeah. Let's not upset anyone who's living in. I know van life is a thing. I don't know if Robin Reliant thing is a thing. What did I also want to say? So what I wanted to say is, so there's so many. I mean, maybe because I'm on the outside and I haven't done enough to understand this, it seems like there are so many nuances to this. So price clearly is an important aspect. Like, you're talking about launches. So but we've already gone for an hour and 15 minutes, and I know you have to be somewhere else. So, so what is the benefit of a launch as opposed to an evergreen product? All of these things. I can't keep you for longer today. Can we have another conversation maybe in 2 or 3? Well, we're going to have another conversation because I clearly desperately need help. So we'll have that conversation. But
if I could give really just the crux of how the online knowledge commerce industry really works,
that would be useful.
Is about creating products that will give customers the transformation they're looking for. We are in the business of transformation. So that's the key. If we can position that transformation in a way with an offer that is a no-brainer offer for them. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to get access to this course. I'm going to get access to this expert. It's going to give me this result. And if we can position it in a way that will really get people to be saying yes, all we've then got to do is get more eyeballs on that offer. but not to be a sleazy salesperson who's always out there trying to flog everything, with every post being about trying to sell things. But it's about building that tribe and that audience and that following that know you, love you, trust you, build the relationship, give them free resources, get them on webinars. And then you are with launches. Every launch is the success of every launch you do. If you're going to launch 3 times a year, for instance, every 4 months, the success of one launch will be directly relational to all of the activity that you've done in the past 4 months, not just the 2 weeks in the run up to the launch. Everything you do in between your launches, or between when you say, okay, well, here I am, I'm going to launch in 4 months' time, everything that you do will have an impact on the success of that launch. This is about all the content you can put out there that draws people to you, the free products that you can give them access to, the access to your time on webinars, the lives you do in a Facebook group or a community or something like that. And then when you open cart and you say, I've got this offer now, but you add scarcity by saying it's going to close in 5 days, because then the live calls kick in. You use all of the weapons of influence that Robert Cialdini talks about in his book. Plus, you're doing it in such an authentic way because you are an expert and you want to serve and you want to be out there. That's how the knowledge commerce industry works today, and it goes back to that book I read in 2011, Millionaire Messenger by Brennan Burchard, how to make a difference in the world and a fortune. And that's the mindset. Show up to serve first, raise the bar, do things to the highest possible standards that you can, and stuff will happen. And you can say, put it out to the universe, it will come back to you or whatever. But the law of reciprocity is a universal thing, whether you believe it because of your faith, or whether you believe it because of, the whole idea of the law of attraction, whatever it is. It's real because it happens. You give, you will get back. It's human nature. So serve, show up. You're basically investing in the bank of goodwill every time you show up and add value. At some point, you'll be able to make a withdrawal.
Okay, that's really interesting and useful, and I hadn't been looking at it that way, but I am now. So thank you for that. We are. I feel like we've answered maybe the last, the penultimate question is problematic, because I keep asking people, what should people want to do if they want to get into PR, public speaking, blah blah. And what people are telling me is get them to call me, and that makes perfect sense. But what I'm getting a real sense of now is the power of agency, the power of somebody else coming in and making this work for you. And I think that's even more relevant here, because it's just me. I know the value of what I'm doing, but am I managing myself well enough to actually realize it? Do I really have the spare to go and learn a platform to put this on, to be building an audience at the same time, to be running adverts, to be doing all of this stuff? But I feel like you've answered that question in a way, because what you're saying is you have to change your mindset. You have to understand that you have to be, and I think that's probably the best place to start.
You can do it all yourself. Absolutely.
I can't.
But it will take you time to learn.
Yeah.
It will take you time to learn.
Yeah, but I've been talking about this for 10 years already. What do you want me to do, Ant?
Yeah. Or you can accelerate the rate at which you're going to get results by bringing the right people around you and finding the expertise. Kajabi is the platform we build all of our client stuff out on. I've been using it since 2012, and it's an absolute no-brainer for me, because it's all the marketing, all the website, all the checkouts, all the courses, everything built into one system, which will enable customers to save money. So they're not having to run WordPress websites and email marketing solutions and all kinds of stuff. Finding a system and then a geek to do that is one thing. But then it's someone who understands social media, someone who understands YouTube, someone who understands adverts, someone who understands launches. And that's the power of agency. That's the power of finding not just a marketing consultant positioning themselves as an agency with lots of freelance support.
Yeah.
because we have worked with a lot of clients who have had that experience, and where staff turnover is there, where the quality isn't quite there, where communication is a challenge because they've always got a middleman.
Yes.
That's the beauty of agency today. And I think agencies will be on the rise again. I think agencies will start to be built. Agencies are being built today.
Yes.
People are employing again. People are looking for jobs again.
Yeah.
There is this notion of entrepreneurship. I get it. I'm not one to poo-poo that in any way, and I want to encourage as many people as possible to do that. But I think when you're starting to look at this kind of thing, you need to find the people who are on point with the trends, on point with the tactics, on point with that, because you can end up wasting so much money as well as the time in
Yes.
not being able to get the results.
100%. I agree with you 100%. Okay, so the other thing I was going to ask is for you to recommend some books, but you've been doing that throughout. So I will provide people with links to those. So the only other order of business is for you to suggest put people under the bus for one of these conversations. Who do you think might enjoy to have this conversation with me?
Well, straight up, I'm going to get my mate Adrian Salisbury involved. You and
Brilliant.
Adrian need to have a conversation about what he does with eCam, live streaming, all of that kind of stuff, and what he does there. I'm probably also going to throw you under the bus with John McGregor.
Okay.
John is one of our clients, an amazing guy. He's based in California. He's Robert Kiyosaki's financial advisor. And he wrote a book called 10 Reasons Why the Rich Go Broke and How You Can Avoid That. You need to get him on to talk about money and mindset, because that is going to be linked intrinsically to how people build their businesses and grow.
Yes.
So they're two people immediately that I'm going to throw under the bus for you.
Fantastic. Can I ask you to set up like Warren sent that beautiful little message to you? Can I ask you to do something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're
I've got your email address. So what I'll do is I'll intro you on email to both of them,
Okay.
because that's probably the best way. And then look to get something set up for you guys to have a chat.
You're an absolute legend. I love these conversations so much. You know, I think the part of the issue, I was coming with the issue of sales and marketing. So it seems to me like when the penny drops for small businesses, they realize they need sales and marketing. They go out to the market. Far too often they get fleeced. You know, they get fleeced. You know, and the average lifespan of a digital marketing customer apparently in London is 3 months, which gives you a sense of how poor the services that's being provided, how poor the people who are buying it as well in terms of knowing what they need. I can't find people. I'm only finding amazing, incredible people who are committed to delivering value for their customers. You know,
So you want to speak to the digital marketers who only keep customers for 3 months?
No, but I was expecting, because the face of marketing is, there's some idiot on Facebook and he's like, oh, if you're not generating 200 leads a day, you're going out of business. It's like, well, I sell oil rigs. How on earth am I going to generate 200? You know what I mean? It's like, it's so obviously clearly not true. But that is the face that's out there. Or do this one thing, you know, Facebook advertising or whatever it is, do this one thing and you'll be successful. And I mean, I have reached out to a couple of those people. They won't talk to me. But it's good because the universe is just leading me to brilliant people. You know, this asking people for referrals at the end is proving to be really valuable because I just go from amazing person to amazing person. And I'm putting you in that category, Ant. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. And look, let's set up another call and talk more specifics. More than happy to do that. You know, I think for me, what I've come to realize is what I do and what we do in the agency. There's so much to it.
Yes.
You've got to work out the plan and the roadmap to be able to then implement. And it never happens overnight. The results are never an overnight success because you've got to implement, test, innovate, implement, test, innovate. And that's just that cycle. And marketing more so than anything, because everything changes so quickly and so fast.
Yes.
So yeah, you've got to be on top of it, and more than happy to have another conversation. So
That would be brilliant. Well, if we could we'll have another conversation about what I need. I mean, I'm already thinking very differently. I'm already thinking very differently. So that might be a shorter conversation. But if we can, in 2 or 3 months' time, come back and have another conversation about the mechanics of courses and how it works and the process, then I would dearly love to do that. Dearly love to do that. Okay, so we'll do the pretend goodbye now for the audience. So, and cool. Then I'll stop the recording, and then we'll do a proper goodbye like human beings. So,
cool.
And thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problems. I'd love to be here and to serve you and those watching and listening as well. That's what I'm here for.
100%. Thank you so much, man.